Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Autodesk Virtual Academy, brought to you by KETIV Technologies. I'm Nigel Mbaye, Customer Success Manager here at KETIV Technologies, and that is Eric,
Hi,
Mark,
everyone.
Paul.
Yeah.
The man of three first names.
Yeah.
All right, so today we're going to be going over 20 more Inventor tips in 20 more minutes. It'll probably take a little bit longer than that, seeing as we're going to have questions.
We'll see.
But Eric's, fast like Sonic the Hedgehog, so we'll see what happens here. You might notice you're in a completely different environment today. That is because we are using Zoom Webinar as opposed to our old webinar service. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type those into the Zoom questions, and we'll be able to go ahead and answer those as they show up here on our screens. So with that, we'll go ahead and get going. To Eric, take it away.
All right. We'll do my best to make this quick and try to make it on 20 minutes. These are just going to be more or less random tips and tricks from all over the different parts of the application. And let's go ahead and get started. All right. Very first one, the marking menu. Okay, so some of you might already be familiar. If you right-click on, let's get an Inventor here. If you right-click in your Inventor application, you'll see this, all this stuff pop up. You've got buttons up top, you've got some selections down here. Now, what you might not know is that this is context sensitive. So if I right-click in the back compared to a face, we're going to get some different options there. And the other cool trick about this is that it's actually gesture-based. So if you already know where you're going to go on this wheel, you can just do a gesture like that. You can kind of see it traced where my mouse went. So that's kind of a cool little tip there. All right, next one. Oh boy, where'd it go? There it is. We got this. Marking menu customization. All right, so we just saw the marking menu, but we can also fill out what options are actually on that depending on the context. So if I go back here and I go to Tools, Customize, and the marking menu, this tab here, you can see that depending on the environment you're in, which there's a lot of them, you can actually change what's being shown here. So maybe you want to have the undo at the top. All these commands here that you see on the right, which is, just about all the commands in Inventor, you can add to this, replace what's already there. You can save it, and then you got your nice gesture-based workflow. So maybe you've got a really specific workflow, and it would help to have some of these shortcuts around. This is for you. All right, next one. Marking menu customization we just did. Mini-Toolbar Display. This is new in, I believe, 2018. And what this is when you have a feature that you're trying to use, and let's use this extrusion as an example. You might be used to this dialog box showing up for manipulating the feature. What they added in was under View, under, let's see here, User Interface, there it is, this mini toolbar. So once I open this up again, there it is. Now we've got all the options in a very condensed little area, and a couple of options underneath it as well, which unfortunately is showing off screen. But there is an option to auto fade this and pin this to a very specific location. So if I wanted this to always show up right here, one of the options under here is to pin it, and it'll always show up right there. All right, next, select tangencies. All right, so this one can be really helpful when you're dealing with surfaces on a curved surface. So not this. Let's see, can't see underneath there. That's for later. So for instance, if I wanted to select all the outside edges here, normally I'd have to click through, I've got to rotate, all that. We don't want to do that. That's dumb, inefficient. So what we can do here, we right click, we say select tangencies, and you can see it's selected all the faces that touch one another in that area there. All right. Next, Measure Tool Advanced Settings. So this can be really helpful. Oops, skipping ahead already. It can be helpful if you're working, let's say, with international companies. Maybe you have to deal with both inches and centimeters. Maybe you're dealing with some architectural stuff where you need to look at the feet and inches. So what we'll do here is we'll bring up the Measure Tool. By the way, hotkey M to bring up the Measure Tool. And let's say I open up this diameter. Now this is maybe what you're used to seeing, just this. And what you can do is select down on the advanced settings, and you can change things like precision so that maybe you don't want any decimal places, or you want all the decimals. Separately, angle precision, and then at the very bottom here, this dual units. You can change this to the dual unit being feet architecture. We can change it to being, centimeters. So this can be really helpful while you're trying to measure things out and take a look and did everything go right. Some really quick information here. All right. So similar with the Measure Tool. Whenever you need to input values, you might be used to seeing this little arrow off to the side. And one of the options that you may be overlooking is you can actually select the value you want in there by using the measure command. So if I move back in here and I open up my extrusion again, and let me get this mini toolbar out of the way since most of you might not be used to it. Again, that's back under View, User Interface, Mini Toolbar. Let's just open that up. And so right here, this arrow, we can select it. We select Measure. And now all of the available sizing, from the sketch, from how it's built, we can select any of these and it'll just input that number. Doesn't matter if it's a diameter or a straight line, whatever that value is. So in this case, 0.5, just because it was a diameter, that doesn't matter. It's still 0.5, so that's what it put in there. If I wanted to change this to the whole length of 3 inches, it'll do that as well. So that can be super helpful. Maybe you've got some very specific values and you're recreating parts, and you just want to select this new one from an existing. This is going to be a great way to do that. All right, next one. Oh, this is one I use constantly, and I hope you guys do too. Hopefully you have a mouse that was built after 2004, and if you double middle click, so if I zoom in on here and I double middle click, it just does a zoom all command. So this will show everything in the screen, everything that you have modeled on here, it'll put it in the screen. And speaking of shortcuts, all the shortcuts, what you'll want to do, and Nigel, maybe you can add this to the chat, is autodesk.com/shortcuts/inventor. It's got all the different shortcuts that are available in Inventor. Let me just go ahead and open this up here. You can scroll through here and see, there's a few. Some of them are going to be more useful for your particular workflow. For instance, I know there's a couple of things that are kind of buried under lots of mouse clicks, and having a shortcut to get at some of those, that's going to be super helpful for a few guys. All right. Partial chamfer. This one's really cool. I believe this came in at an Inventor 2018 as well. Let me go ahead and get back to Inventor. So what we can do here is, if we go to the chamfer tool and we select, let's say this edge here. Oh, I need to do it under the partial. Let me back up, start this over. So if I select, let's see here, and this is going to be the important part. this edge chain, if I want to select all the tangentially connected edges, or if I just want to select this single edge, this is going to be really important for the partial. You're going to want to choose single edge, and then you can see I can select this. And if I go over to my partial and select the beginning point, so now I've got a start point, and let's say I want to move this, well, actually, let me show it this way first. So if I can actually drag this, if I select it right, I did this out of order. Back to single, select there, partial, and let's see, should be able to drag it. There we go. And you can, kind of set, okay, I want it to be about there. And then you can say, okay, actually, I want it to start at, let's say, 0.25. Oh, took away the inches. There we go. And, let's say I want it to go for 2 inches. And there we go. Now I've got our partial chamfer on there. All right. Here's another helpful one for when you're in your sketch environment. Dimensions needed until fully constrained. So as you're sketching out a part and you notice that it's not fully constrained, let me flip this around, it's a little bit cleaner. First of all, you should all remember that if this is a green circle, that means it's not fully constrained. And unfortunately, my taskbar is being a little bit of a pain. Let me do this. You can see down here in the corner that says 3 dimensions needed. So maybe I will project, let's see here, it's not on that axis. Let me just go ahead and, make a line from this. And let's say I want to attach this to there. And maybe I get another dimension from here to here. Okay, you can see now we're down to 2 dimensions needed. And so that can help you figure out, hey, how come this isn't, constrained yet? And how many more am I actually going to need? And another quick tip with that, I believe I brought it up last time, is there's show all degrees of freedom button down here. So if you click that, you can see how this can grow. So you can see, ooh, I need to set the diameter of that to be explicit. And, in this case, that line can grow. That might be an issue. So we can see it's not fully constrained and exactly how. All right. So with all this customization that you are obviously doing now to get your markup wheel set to an exact way, maybe you're dealing with large assemblies and specific workflows that you really customized your application. It's really a great idea to go ahead and back this up. If your Windows crashes, maybe you're switching computers, having that backup and being able to export and then import that in once you're in your new environment to get you back right where you were is going to be important. Let me go ahead and show you where that is. So under Tools, there's Application Options. And for the whole application options, you just want to go ahead and click on Export. And this will export as XML. Go ahead and save this wherever is going to be, somewhere that's backed up. Preferably, not directly on here. Maybe you've got a Dropbox or OneDrive, something like that, or just an external thumb drive.
Vault it.
Vault it. That's a great idea. And then once you are on your new computer, go ahead and click Import. And it'll ask you to select a specific XML. And you go ahead and open it up, all your application net settings back to where they were. Okay, next one. Set flat pattern orientation. Have you ever been frustrated that you say create flat pattern and it just kind of puts it on there however it wants and that's not what you wanted? Well, let me show you some of the ways you can tell it how to decide, which way it's oriented on there. I'm going to go ahead and create a new sheet metal part here. Yeah, whatever. Start sketch. Make a quick little box. All right. Make a face. Sure. Wonderful. Okay. So the very first thing that I want to show, let me add a little feature on here so that we can see which side is which. Just a quick little circle that we can tell. And let's go the other direction. There we go. Okay, so if you already know which side you want face up, when you select a face and then choose create a flat pattern, it's going to have this face be the up face. So create flat pattern, and you can see it snaps straight to there. Again, if I go back to the folded part and we look at our view cube, yes, this is the front as far as the model's concerned, but when we go to the flat pattern, because I selected the other side, now this is the up direction for the flat pattern. And while we're here, let's say we want to make some tweaks to it that we actually don't want it horizontally, we want it vertical. And right click on the flat pattern, select Edit Flat Pattern Definition, and you can see here we've got align horizontal, vertical, give it some rotation, flip the alignment axis, maybe choose a different alignment axis. So let me go ahead and do that. You see we can stand it up straight. Okay. So you can play with that. That's a good one. All right. Next one. Organize the assembly model tree with folders. So maybe you've got an assembly with just tons and tons of screws and bolts and, off-the-shelf parts that you really don't need to edit very much, but they do need to be in there. You just kind of want them out of the way in your model tree because you've got 500 screws and you never really need to select any of them. So what you can do here, and let's see if I can figure out which one is the assembly. There it is. Let's take a look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and delete what I had already done, but here I have an assembly of that other part. And when you right click, there's an option create new folder. You can name it whatever you want, Nigel's folder. And what you do is you select the ones that you want to go in, highlight it, pick it up. So I'm holding the left click and I'm dragging it into this folder, and now they're all neatly tucked away under there. No more, screws or bolts, whatever you want, just, dominating this model tree. Okay, next we've got change the drawing sheet colors. So maybe you don't like this beige drawing color. Maybe you are used to white, or maybe you're used to blue. What you can do, and one of these times I'll click the right one, we can change where that's set. We go to Tools, Document Settings, and Sheet, and now we can go ahead and change this color. Maybe I want this dark blue background and a sheet outline of gray. I apply that. There we go. Check it out. We got our full-on Mythbusters style here. All right, and those other ones for highlight and selected, the red and green, you can change those as well, so that's a little bit more legible. Next one, add template folders for a new file creation. So when you are in File, New, and you want to create a new file based off of some template standards, you have these options over here to your left, and maybe you've added some in already. Maybe your company has quite a few standards and you kind of want to divide them up a little bit more so they're easier to get to. Maybe certain locations have standards that they use more often, but they need to get at all of them really. You can help yourself manage that by putting them in different folders. And so all you have to do is navigate to this place right here. And if I'm smart, I've already got it up. Hey. And you can see that all the folders here, they match what you're seeing here. And all you have to do is create a new folder. So Eric's templates. And there you go. You can see it's already noted over here. And so in here, you just have to add those templates and you're good to go. Okay, next one, adjust perspective camera angle. So last time I did talk about the different camera types, and let's use this as an example that, you know, depending on what you're looking for, you can either have an orthographic view or a perspective view, right? And so the perspective view, and you know, maybe this other part's a little bit better for this. There it is. So this perspective view, you know, this is going to be more what it would look like in real life. The orthographic means all the lines are going to be parallel to each other, and the perspective would be, you know, as if it was a camera lens. So you can actually change the angle of the camera lens here. What you're going to want to do is click the drop down here, make sure this is set to zoom, and then you're going to hold Control and Shift. You're going to select the zoom option, and then you can change how much and the angle of that lens. So there you go. That's kind of cool. All right. Next couple are going to be about sharing your information with other people who don't have Inventor. So the very first one, export to DWF. This is a classic one. You go down to File, Export, Export to DWF, and this is something that can be done, opened up by someone else with the program Design Review. That's a free program from Autodesk. You can go ahead and you know, just Google that, pick it up. Anybody can get that. Next option, you can now export to 3D PDF. That's pretty cool. I do like this option a lot. You go down to File, Export again, you select 3D PDF, and that does actually give you, you know, this model in a PDF that you can manipulate the view of. You can rotate around. So that is a super cool thing. I believe that came in 2018. Is that right, Nigel?
Yeah, it should be 2018. There's like a full webinar on that stuff. So if you want to look at 3D PDF, just look at our YouTube channel. Search 3D PDF. You should be able to find it.
Yes. And now for the new version of sharing everything, there is a Autodesk viewer that Autodesk has available to everyone up in the cloud. And what you do here is you say File, you go to Share now, and it's this Share View button. And slowly it'll populate here. So I've already shared this actually. What you do is click New Shared View, and it'll ask you what you want to name it. If you want to hide component names, hide properties, and what I'll do here, Nigel, is if you could add the link to the chat, you guys can actually all go check out this model online. It'll look like this for you. Anybody who's watching needs to type out that link. Here it is off to the right. But anybody can get this from pretty much, you know, anything with a browser and some sort of graphics capabilities. This is your phone, your tablet, laptop. As long as you've got the internet, you should be able to get at this. So, you know, you can pan around, you can rotate, everything that you need to do. You can chat in here, you can add comments, you can mark it up. I believe we might have done something about this a while back.
I did a long time ago.
Yeah, but they've continued to add stuff to here. But yeah, check this out. Super cool.
Add comments. I don't know. These things stay up for 30 days, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so feel free to play with this, you know, in the future here. All right, last one. And Nigel, I never even told you what this one was.
Yeah.
Did you know you can make Inventor talk to you?
No.
So you can actually use the Microsoft text-to-speech options.
Terrible.
And I'm going to leave this up for a moment. Maybe you have some people who just, you know, they can never remember to fill out some of the required properties. You can have an iLogic rule that checks if they filled out those properties and yells at you if they don't. Let me give you an example. Here we go. And hopefully this works over the audio.
Oh, I have no audio set up right now. Do you want me to turn my audio on?
No, we'll just ask the crowd if it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and run this rule.
Really? You're just going to leave the revision number blank? We talked about this.
Yeah, can you hear that? Wonderful.
That's so terrible. It also brings up a little message box, but this is actually kind of interesting. It kind of shows some of the other random stuff that iLogic can do. You can really just run code through there. It doesn't have to be Inventor specific. All right, that's it. That's all I got, Nigel. I think I'm a little over 20 minutes, but we got close.